The journey of civilization started when humans began farming thousands of years ago. Farming allowed our ancestors to abandon hunter-gatherer lifestyles, build permanent settlements, and look for reliable food supplies. However, not all lands were fertile and crop yields were low back then. Repetitive planting seasons have killed the soil and drained it, which is why the first growers resorted to animal manure. But that was still not enough to replenish the soil. Ammonia is the main component in nitrogen fertilizers. It was produced in the early 20th century from the Haber-Bosch process reaction of nitrogen and hydrogen, where it became a genius solution to poor land productivity and health. Nowadays, farmers from around the world depend on different fertilizers to improve crop production. The most common mineral fertilizers are those based on nitrogen, N, phosphorus, P, and potassium, K, NPK for short. Minerals are elements that occur in nature but need simple processing to turn into feed all our plants all over the world. The extensive use of nitrogen fertilizers in the early 20th century enabled the lives of billions of people and increased food production. The global population, driven by surplus food supplies, has seen a massive jump, rising from 1.6 billion in 1900 to nearly 8 billion by the end of 2022. As much as the global fertilizer industry faces tremendous challenges, it has the potential to grow if it only fills the market gaps and addresses the situation properly in a fast-paced, changing world. The first of these gaps is the volatility of energy prices. Production of nitrogen fertilizers such as ammonia and urea are heavily dependent on natural gas. So, when natural gas prices skyrocketed between March and October 2021, it came as no surprise that mineral nitrogen fertilizer prices went up. Soaring natural gas prices forced the temporary shutdown of fertilizer factories in parts of Europe. In a weak and frail world economy, the COVID-19 pandemic was the straw that broke the camel's back. Even more, human-induced climate change and extreme weather conditions are eroding arable lands and reducing crop production. Greater concentrations of CO2 in the atmosphere are having devastating impacts on crop productivity and soil fertility. Unprecedented heat waves in the past few years baked crops in the fields and forced thousands of growers out of the market. We can't talk about curtailing the cataclysmic effects of climate change without mentioning green ammonia. CO2-free green ammonia doesn't need natural gas as a feedstock. Green here means it's made using renewable energy sources like hydropower, solar and wind clean energy sources to produce hydrogen from water. Then again, Haber-Bosch process reaction with nitrogen will generate ammonia, but green. Back in 2020, the AFA was one of the leading organizations to provide such a continuous knowledge and field updates on green ammonia as an important topic, heading with our partners to a new level and deeper insights. Despite all these strains on the global market, there are signs of hope in global fertilizer forecasts, particularly in the Arab region. This plays a major role in feeding the world, as they enjoy massive reserves of raw materials used in the industry. Data from the Arab fertilizer producers shows that the Arab world share of global nitrogen fertilizer exports stands at more than 30%. Top exporters of phosphate fertilizers in the world include North Africa, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt, with the Arab region roughly acquiring around 60% of total exports. Arabs also export around 5% of the global potassium fertilizer trade, with Jordan being the 7th potash producer worldwide by volume of production. When compared to how many NPK products are consumed by Arabs, these figures highlight the vast disparity between production and consumption in the region. Data shows that Arab countries consume only around 2% of total world consumption of nitrogen fertilizers, 5% of phosphate fertilizers, and 5% of potassium fertilizers. This huge contrast between what the Arab world produces and consumes in terms of NPK products makes us pause and think. Since the Arab region has surplus fertilizer production and Africa has millions of acres of fertile land, we at the Arab Fertilizer Association, AFA, have a vision for economic integration between the two sides. This vision is based on bartering surplus fertilizers produced by Arab countries for food grown on farmlands across Africa, particularly in the COMESA and West African nations. The ultimate goal is to create a win-win situation which Africa and the Arab world are self-sufficient in food. And today, AFA is putting the seed of bartering surplus fertilizers produced by Arab countries for food grown on farmlands across Africa, starting our journey that will begin from here in the 28th Annual Forum, with high hopes to see our seed growing through the coming years along with the AFA 50th anniversary celebrations by 2025. With all these challenges and opportunities in mind, we would like to welcome you all to the 28th AFA Annual Fertilizer Forum and Exhibition.